Joining us now is OjyOkpe with stories trending around the world. Hello, Jenny.
Good morning, Dr. Abati. How are you this morning?
I'm good.
Yeah, good morning, Ayo. How are you? Looking lovely.
I love your earrings.
Thank you, because you got them for me. Good.
Yeah, sure.
Yes.
Sure.
No, you can't see it. Don't worry.
Okay.
Please.
Bola. How much is money?
It's nothing.
Premium or nothing. Now you know.
Yes, we have to. That's your job. That's your job. Bring flavor. Well, all right.
This is lovely. Igiligi, iganga.
Well, all right. Good morning to you, viewers. Let's begin what's trending in Senegal by congratulating Bassirou Diomaye Faye, who on Tuesday was sworn in as Senegal's youngest president at 44 years old, making history as the youngest elected president in Africa. Several African leaders, including Nigeria's President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, attended the ceremony near the capital city, Dakar. Faye's ascent follows a surprising election win just 10 days after his release from prison under President Macky Sall's amnesty.
Le président du Nigeria, le président Tinubu.
Bu solo ni sa xel da fay dem ci Obasanjo. Xam nga ni la daan solo. Machallah.
Nigeria ñoom.
Oui, il est devenu observateur, je pense.
Oui.
Ci affaire élection yi.
Président des observateurs africains.
Well, the Senegalese president was also joined on stage by his two wives, Khone, whom he married 15 years ago, and Absa Fall, whom he married last year. Both will hold the title of First Lady, marking a historic moment for the West African country where two women will occupy the office of the First Lady. The development, which calls for a revision of protocol, has been met with controversy. Senegal is one of 58 countries in the world that legalizes polygamy, while some argue that Faye's position with his two wives is the ultimate recognition of the tradition of polygamy, which in turn sends a strong signal to other men to accept their polygamy and demonstrate transparency like him. Many Senegalese women say they find polygamy hypocritical and unfair, while the UN Human Rights Committee said in a 2022 report that it amounted to discrimination against women and should be ended.
Madame les premières dames Ramaboy loolu la ñuy wax yow mi
Am na solo.
sàkku ay ñaareel saa su ne yàkkamti mee jabar mbir baa ngoog dafa xew.
Well, I saw you going like this when I was reading the story, but you know that it has caused controversy and a lot of reactions. Let me take this tweet from a sociologist, Fatou Sosa, who in a post said, polygamy, monogamy, polyandry are marital models determined by the history and culture of each people. These models today face competition from homosexual marriages. My deepest thought is that the West has no legitimacy to judge our cultures. Well, a musician who's well known in Senegal, her name is Miaï Goussé. She also said in a viral video that being a second wife suits her better than being a first. Your thoughts on the story quickly?
The reason I was smiling and doing this was because the first wife in all the footage that you showed, it was frowning. Really, really looking, was frowning and didn't look happy about the situation. And then of course the second wife is a new bride, like you mentioned. They got married last year.
They got married right before she
just before, a very strategic woman.
Yeah.
But the truth is that Senegal is a 97% population of Muslims, has a 97% population of Muslims. And in the Islamic faith, you are allowed to marry up to 4 wives. However, the condition for that is that you must be able to treat your wives fairly and equally. So there must be equal treatment. So if you're buying one house for one, you buy one house for the other. So that is where the challenge then comes in. Oji, I don't know, you're a woman like me.
Yes.
We don't like, well, let me not say we, but I don't know if you like sharing.
But even in Senegal, where it's legal the polygamy is legal, they are saying that they are not happy. They are not happy with this whole idea. But like I said, it gives that option for men to come out boldly. I mean, that was a huge signal last week when we saw him come out with his two wives.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, he was basically unknown before you know he ran for election, and he comes out with his two wives. And this is a new trend now, Dr. Batu. You are smiling too much.
Shouldn't try it. It's not legally. If you are legally married, married, you can't have more than one wife. Let me just say that.
Well, this man is the expert in this subject.
There is customary marriage.
That's said legally.
Yeah, no, so don't say legally. Anyway, don't let me go into the theory of
Yes,
it.
go ahead.
Now, during the campaigns, BDF, as he's otherwise known, that's the president of Senegal, publicly said that he has 2 wives, he has 4 children, and that he's very proud of his wives and proud of his children. And they joined him during the campaigns. And now, even before the swearing in, the inauguration yesterday, he was everywhere with them. I don't know where you say you saw any kind of, you must resist the temptation of reading body language. That was how you were reading body language yesterday, and it turned out to be wrong. Now, the issue here is that if first he had a wife who is a wall-off like him for 15 years, a Muslim, that's the first wife. He had 4 children. And then this second lady, Absa, who is a young woman. And during the inauguration, they were there, as you can see. Maria and Absa are very happy that their husband has become president. Now, yes, opinion is divided on polygamy. After all, in this same Senegal, one of their leading writers, in 1979, Maria Maba, she wrote a novel titled So Long a Letter, in Let See Long. And it was a major issue there. She was criticizing polygamy, where Maria Maba being a feminist. Now, there are also books like Lola Shonein's The Secret Lives of Baba Segui's Wives, which is about, the politics within a polygamous setting. So that speaks to your point about not wanting to share and all that. So there are many perspectives. And there are those who say, oh, it puts a woman down. But what I was saying earlier, when we spoke with Ohi, who is on the ground in Senegal, is that this is also another first for BDF, the first president that will publicly, show off his 2 wives. And that again speaks to your point about equal treatment. And the 2 wives are adults, they are not complaining. On top of it, he's also a Muslim. And he's entitled, they say, in the Islamic doctrine, to 4 wives. Now, but what is more important also is his projection of an important part of the culture in Senegal. There may be people, speaking publicly against polygamy, but it's a common practice. And then, secondly, of course, we see a president that is advertising religious harmony in the house. When you talk about culture of religious harmony and of tolerance, which is a major sociological issue in multi-religious societies in Africa. So you find, BDF, showing this example. And by the way, the 2 of them are very beautiful women. And now that he's president, nobody should rule out the possibility that he will take a 3rd wife. and he will take a 4th wife.
Wait, there's space for 2 more.
Yeah, so you have
as president, it's,
Well, what are the economic implications now? With
president of Senegal.
It's 2, the office of 2 first ladies now. So they have to change.
In Nigeria, on one occasion,
Yes.
have you forgotten?
Yes.
I don't want to mention the gentleman's name. There was a governor in this country who had 3 wives. One of them was, in fact, a judge. And he distributed the positions.
Yes.
You be in charge of this, you be in charge of that. And for the 8 years that the man was governor, there was no conflict. No, here in Nigeria, a governor, 3 wives, the positions were properly distributed.
Yes.
And they worked together in harmony.
Okay.
People can argue for and against, and I get the argument. I mean, there's been a lot of scholars that have written about polygamy and everything. For me, I don't feel let's make that a priority. Yes, it's the first in Senegal. The reason why it's generating the conversation is because it's a country where a lot of people like to show they are monogamous, but actually they are polygamous in nature. All right, it's that kind of society. So it's another one, and I get very varying opinions as regards it. There are religious injunctions as regards it and all of that. But for me, the point of view I want to talk about is the effect of polygamy on children that came from polygamous homes. It's not always that easy on them. Yes, they might get along, but a lot of brickbats. And some people will also argue and say that, to a large extent, children, that came from polygamous homes, some of them have it very good, but most of the time, we've seen the debilitating effect it has on them psychologically and all of that, and how it pretty much ruins relationship and things like that. And some of them are loggerheads till date. So whatever he does, as long as he builds Senegal, that's the priority. I mean, let's let the man be. He's made his decision. He's an adult. You can't change from his decision. People will just talk and will constantly kick off conversation. So let's focus more on Senegal and let the man breathe. I mean, people that support polygamy will always support polygamy. People that have nothing against it will always have something against it. So there will always be two sides.
Well, there's always that argument about the creation of monogamy and polygamy. In Africa, polygamy is accepted, right, Dr. Abati? I can see your face.
But
like hold on.
was saying,
Ayo, I wanted to
some people
say
don't like
something.
to share. Some people also argue with you, Ayo, that there's love in sharing.
There's love in sharing. Ayo,
I mean, so
before
it's
we go, I wanted to talk to you about Absa Fall. Have you heard about her controversy on social media where people, Absa Fall, the second wife, and people are telling her that she should just maintain because she's going around, you know, posting different videos and not acting like a first lady. So they're asking. Ayo was correct.
We'll see 4 years time.
But Dr. Abati, one thing I can tell you is you can say I have experience in nothing.
Yes.
When it comes to bedroom matters.
Yes.
But one thing I can tell you for free. One thing
you offer advice on marital issues.
One thing I can tell you for free is, Dr. Abati, even as men, it is not always easy when you have to share something intimate with other people.
You have experienced it before.
I can tell you for free.
Giving advice.
I can tell you for free.
Offering advice on marital matters.
I can tell you for free. It's not always, and you know it, Dr.
The violence on this table is too much. Well, all right.
It's not always easy.
Let's take another story, shall we? Well, all right. We'll take another story. A recent article by the BBC has revealed that some of the rescued Chibok secondary school girls abducted by Boko Haram terrorists in Borno State have chosen to abandon their families and remain with their insurgent husbands. Yama Bulum, one of the parents of the abducted Chibok girls, told the news outlet how outraged he feels about the Borno State government housing his daughter, Jinkai Yama, and her husband, a former insurgent. Yama was one of the 276 girls kidnapped from a secondary school in the early hours of April 14th, 2014. She now resides in the city of Maiduguri, the Borno State capital, in a housing organized by the state's governor, Babagana Zulum. Mr. Bulum said he only found out that his daughter was married to a former insurgent after she called him to tell him last August. But before then, he had assumed that his daughter was living with other freed Chibok captives in a special welfare program. The Borno State Commissioner for Women Affairs and Social Development, Zawira Gambo, when contacted about the freed women and their husbands, said the women were in no way coerced into staying with their spouses in the housing estate, stating that the freed women usually insist that without their husbands, they will not stay in Maiduguri. I mean, what do I call this? Ayo, Stockholm Syndrome? And the federal and the government is supporting it. I mean, I think this issue needs to be looked into critically, because I mean, we've always talked about this de-radicalization of these and rehabilitation of these insurgents back into the society. Yes, they have confessed. Yes, they have come out to be de-radicalized. But there is that issue of these women wanting to be with their abusers because they have said that they found their husbands when they were kidnapped.
So very quickly, I'll say, you touched on it, Stockholm Syndrome, absolutely. And I don't think, in fairness, that the government should support this. The first thing, even though I hear what the Commissioner of Women Affairs has said, the truth is that even if she wasn't coerced to live in the housing, was she willing to have married her captor while she was taken away forcefully? So the basis of her even meeting the man in itself was flawed.
Yes.
So it was flawed in terms of the fact that it was through a criminal activity and criminal action. She got into captivity. There's such a thing as Stockholm Syndrome, where you fall in love with your captor and begin to see him in a different light. And then coming back, I can't imagine how disheartening it would be for her parents to find out that the same people who captured their children have now become the husbands, and she's now saying, I believe that one of the first things we must emphasize when these children are brought back, or the girls are brought back, or men and boys, they must go through rehabilitation. Yes. They must go through psychological evaluation, and they must go through government paid for psychological help. a lot of these people will face trauma that they may not wake up from years to come. One day, this young girl will wake up and think, where am I? What am I doing? Because she's psychologically traumatized. We cannot act as if we are ignorant, and I believe that the government owes it to these young girls to preserve their lives and their future. They've lost a lot of years already.
Yes.
That girl has to undergo severe psychological treatment and attention before she can before she's put in a position to say that this is what her decision is. The reason I'll go back to saying the foundation on which the relationship is based on is flawed.
Yes.
It makes anything built on that foundation totally flawed in my
Well
my
said,
perspective.
Aya. Apparently, she's not the
Those
only
2
girl.
points. Some of
There
those
are
girls
more-
now, they've
there are
become
other
adults.
girls, yes.
In the BBC story that you are referring to, the lady that was interviewed, she's already 22 years old. Her parents have not given up. I bet she insists. In fact, it has reached a situation whereby when those parents that you showed, when they phone her, she no longer picks their calls. It's the husband that picks their calls. And the commissioner was saying that, look, to even get these girls out of the forest, they insisted that if their husbands were not allowed to follow them, they will not come. So yes, Stockholm syndrome at one level, but now these persons have become adults and they decided to become Muslims. And some of them, when that lady was interviewed, he said the people saying they should leave their husbands, they don't understand. You are women. What is it that people don't understand when a woman says, this is my husband and I'm staying with him?
Well, I don't understand that.
Go and read the story. Go and read the story.
She said
they don't, that people don't understand.
I've never been abused and stayed with a woman or a person that I've been abused. So it's a different case, completely different case.
It's just like
you cannot be abused and say you want to be with them. So it's complete trauma.
It's when you have an unbundling of the trauma now that those people will now get to understand. They've known the trauma all this while. They've adapted. If you understand the traits of human beings, adaptability is part of them.
Correct.
They've learned to adapt to the trauma. It doesn't justify the trauma itself.
Some of them have children.
Yeah, but
yes, it's trauma.
The two concerns will be that, well, they were denied the opportunity to have education because of the experience that they went through. 2, those terrorists, those bandits that were rehabilitated, it is unfortunate, they are even benefiting from their crime. And that the Nigerian state did not apprehend them and punish them. Instead, they offered them a camp, accommodation where they could live. And they are even having wives and raising families.
This is unacceptable.
It
needs to be looked into. The Borno State government.
How would they look into it?
Well, we have
they will stop the marriages.
Yes, it is important for them to go through psychological evaluation. They need to be involved in these children's mental state. Like we said, it is Stockholm syndrome. Children. They were children when they were abducted, and they are still at this moment unaware of what they're going through. We'll take another story.
Years after they snap out of it. They know themselves now.
Well, let's take another story. The First Lady of Nigeria, Remi Tinubu, has made a passionate call for Nigerian youth to embrace their national identity and promote unity, transcending ethnic and cultural divides. Speaking at an event hosted at the State House in Abuja on Monday, the First Lady emphasized the importance of prioritizing Nigerianness over narrow ethnic or cultural affiliations. Let's take a quick look.
I'm glad that you are talking about unity and peace. It's very, very crucial for us. You see that your uniform it transcends our tribes, our different cultures, and that's what we want to do with this unity fabric. Because when somebody dresses, we say, oh, he's from Akwa Ibom, he's from Yoruba, he's Igbo. It's not that we are losing that out, but there should be a confluence of all of us, like a melting pot. This is who we are as Nigerians. And I think we have to start talking about our Nigerianness. I will call it that we are Nigerians first before we start breaking down into tribes and different culture. But am I saying we should do away with our culture? No, that is who we are. We can bring it to the table in a more unified way. not in a place of arrogance or I'm better than this, and because we have to forge ahead for a Nigeria that should be greater than any tribe or any individual. So I don't know what it will be, but I think we need that place of unity, and that's why we tagged it the unity fabric.
Well, I love this story. Or Rufai, only yesterday we talked about air peace and the Ishiagu outfit, and we talked about, showing the fact that the company is pushing the Nigerian narrative, and it's just refreshing to hear the First Lady almost re-echoing our points that we made yesterday on the program.
I can't say it enough. Kudos to this woman every time.
Well.
She tries as much as possible to make the right sound bite, to push this country forward. Probably maybe because she's one of the most experienced first ladies, we've had in recent times, a very seasoned senator before she got into the position, and she can only do better. We need more cohesion. The case of Ishiagu does not matter. But real quickly, I want to quickly balance the conversation out. And this is for all the supporters of polygamy in Nigerian context and in African context, fine. Hope you people will not be against polyandry too. The capacity of women to be able to marry more than one man.
Violence, Rufai.
Well, all right. Polyandry, and there are many people who are dealing with the challenges of homosexuality.
All right.
Also, yes, brotherhood to brotherhood, sisterhood to sisterhood. So don't let us go there. Otherwise, we will not leave this table today.
I just balance the conversation.
No, I'm stretching for you.
Because of brotherhood. If it's good for a man to marry more than one, can a woman also marry more than one husband?
The theory is there: polygyny, polyandry, and then.
We have to have a whole
ACDC, sisterhood to sisterhood, brotherhood to brotherhood.
But you know where you're coming from. Shall we move on to the next story? Well, still in Nigeria. Forbes magazine yesterday released the 38th edition of its World Billionaires list for 2024, and Aliko Dangote, Mike Adenuga, Abdul Samad Rabiu, and Femi Otedola emerged as the only Nigerians on the list. Forbes' World's Billionaires list is a ranking of every person on the planet with a net worth of $1 billion or more as of March 8, 2024. Africa's richest man, Aliko Dangote, maintained his position, recording $13.4 billion as of April 2nd, while Nigeria's second richest man, Mike Adenuga, followed with a net worth of $6.7 billion. Abdul Saman Rabiu and Femi Otedola, according to the new report, were worth $5.2 billion and $1.7 billion, respectively. Femi Otedola, who is the chairman of Geregu Power PLC, has been in the news lately after the company pledged to support President Bola Ahmed Tinubu's power sector reforms during its 12th annual general meeting, while highlighting a $500 million investment in power plant transformation. The Forbes list of billionaires in the United States now boasts a record of 813 billionaires worth a combined $5.7 trillion, with 34-year-old superstar Taylor Swift making the list with an accumulated fortune of $1.1 billion. Congratulations to that young girl. She had toured the story. I knew you wanted to talk about
Taylor
Swift.
I tried to defend you earlier. During Rotu's segment, there was a day Rotus came here and it was condemning the cost of wigs and all of that. So, and I said, if he checked the Forbes billionaire list, the youngest person there, 21-year-old, Kylie Jenner, is now on the billionaires list. She's selling cosmetics. Kylie Cosmetics. Maybe one day somebody selling wigs will also make
But why not? But of course, why not? Congratulations to all of them. Femi Otedola, Dangote, the 4 Nigerians that have made
When
this
are you going to make
list.
your own billion?
Very soon.
Always watching other people's work.
Very soon. Well, what makes you think I'm not a billionaire? It's just because of taxes I'm not.
Ababola! How much is money?
It's nothing.
They've told you.
Okay, now that I
Just confirm.
we have a billionaire on the table. No, but you know, Jinika, you always perform.
But
Okay, now
But
You have to perform.
Dr. Mati, you two are a billionaire now. 2 billionaires on this table now.
LIRS.
Jinika is a billionaire.
Let's go back to the last story. Well, congratulations to all the billionaires. Well, all right. Shall we take our final story in Enugu State, where a video showed the moment a relative accused some officers of the police force of abandoning his uncle, who was reportedly kidnapped along the Eke Afa Arinze Road in Udu local government area of the state. Under their watch. Let's take a look.
See the police people, Sam. This is the commander. You can't enter bush. Come and see. Police kidnappers, you never get for now. Police people are here. They can't enter that bush. They are here telling me they can't go anywhere. See them here. See police people, see them. All of them one by one. Come on, fist it, Sam. Sam, see them. Yeah, but the police not tell about. They kidnap somebody now from my uncle. Now they can't go and look for my brother. They say they can't go that bush. Sam, see them. Look them one by one. Sam, look them one by one. They can't go and get my brother. They say they don't get that bush. They are afraid.
All right, this is an unfortunate incident, Dr. Abati, in Enugu State. I mean, I cannot believe these people could not go into the forest.
Where will you go?
If I was a police officer, I would go now. I don't understand.
The policemen too were going around looking like this. They would, again, if we've been criticizing the military for doing police work, but if it were soldiers, they will not stand by. They will go in. Because our policemen, they are probably not trained to go after kidnappers. We don't know what they teach them in the police college. Maybe they have to take a second look at the curriculum. I mean, Nigerian policemen, even under ordinary circumstances, they will remove their uniform and take to their heels. Because those policemen, they don't want to go into the forest and also be kidnapped. And they say, what do they want to die for? But, another reason why government has to equip the police, build capacity within the police force, and provide opportunities for deepening the security network in Nigeria.
Fantastic. This needs to be looked into as well. I'd like to thank you all for your great analysis, as always, on What's Trending. Well, that's all I have for you guys on What's Trending today. I'll see you all tomorrow.